Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Halifax Raiders Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 24. So in last episode, we took on a familiar playoff opponent, that being the Detroit Red Wings, and we managed to beat them to get ourselves to the second round, where we're facing another familiar foe, that being the Montreal Canadiens. Now, we've had some interesting run-ins with Montreal in the past in the playoffs, and a lot of the time I feel like we lost, if I remember right, but Montreal is a team that has fallen off a little bit in terms of their roster. Like, they don't have like Cole Caulfield anymore, Uri Slavkovsky, but they do still have some pretty solid pieces from those times when they actually beat us. But as you can see with our last round against Detroit, we started off the series with 3 straight wins, and it was a really good start. Then we lost 2 games in a row where our offense just could not find itself, so it was very scary. I thought we were going to get maybe reverse swept, but we managed to bounce back with a huge 7-2 win in Game 6 to get us into this point. So hopefully this team could end up finding some more success based on our last game against Detroit, and hopefully we could beat Montreal to get ourselves to a conference finals, because obviously we do not have a lot of time left to win a Stanley Cup in before we are going to start losing guys to retirement, and our team probably is going to start getting worse. Obviously our defensive play over the last 3 seasons has been really amazing, but there is a good chance that it should start to drop off sooner or rather than later. But let me show you guys what the Montreal Canadiens are looking like again, and I will also show you guys what our players have done so far up to this point in the playoffs, and then we will get into your guys' comments and obviously into the second round. But here is what the Montreal Canadiens are looking like. As you can see, they still have Spence and Catan. These 2 guys have been there since probably the first time we played them in the playoffs. Berkeley Catan's always been a very good player next to like Cole Caulfield and whatnot. As you can see, he's always been a consistent point producer. Not the most insane player. He has had one really crazy season with 133 points, but he has been very consistent in his career, and that's where that happens. And you can see playoff-wise, he's almost point per game in his career, so he's been a very good playoff performer, and I don't really like that too much. And then, yeah, Malcolm Spence has been another one of those type of guys that has done very well against us. Looks like he eclipsed 100 points for the first time in his career, but he's also been a pretty solid player on that team. Everybody else is pretty much new on this team, but they are a very solid forward core. Like, they have some solid depth down the middle, that type of thing. From a defensive standpoint, though, they don't have the best defensive core, so I'm hoping that we could take advantage of that and score some goals. And from a goaltending perspective, they do have 2 solid goaltenders, so that's where they can make up for the lack of defense, is they have the good goaltending, so that's a little bit scary. And then there is their depth options. So that is Montreal. Now I'll quickly show you guys what our players have been doing up to this point. We'll just do it through the edit line screen because it's a little bit easier. But you can see we've been getting some offense from mostly everybody on our team. Lehman's got like 9 points at this point. Mauricio's got 9 points. Ozens, we moved to the top line. He's got 4 points in 6 games, which is pretty awesome after he got called up to start last episode. And then if we go to guys on the second line, you can see we're still getting like pretty balanced offense throughout our top 6. We are mostly getting offense from every single player, except for a couple guys like Ricardo Richter, who's kind of struggled a bit, but it's mainly due to ice time, I'm guessing. You can see he's averaging under 10 minutes a game, so it would be nice to get him a little bit more ice time, but I don't really know if there's a way to do that. From a defensive perspective, we had offense from a couple guys on the back end, but not really much of them, so I'm hoping for a little bit better defense stats in terms of offense from the back end. And I'm also hoping that this Fragapane and Cracknell pairing could do a little bit better, because they were our worst pairing in that first round. And then goaltending-wise, Burkov has been very good up to this point, so hopefully Mateo Burkov can continue his hot hand and get us back to maybe a conference finals. If not, obviously Budins might get an opportunity to play a playoff game or something like that, but that's what our team has been like up to this point. Let's get into your guys' comments now and see what you guys have to say about last round's win. So the first comment is from Michael Dos, who says, "Good teams find ways to win. This Halifax team is a good team. Stanley Cup, here we come." And I love your optimism, but you never know what could happen, to be honest. Like, I honestly hope that our team obviously wins the Stanley Cup, but you never know what could happen. Like, there could be a good chance that we randomly get destroyed by one of these teams. Like, we don't know how good Florida really is, Columbus is. Like, I'm assuming Florida is actually really good, because I think we played them on a route to our last Stanley Cup Finals appearance. We know Calgary is really good. Seattle, I think, was built up decently. I'm not sure about Dallas and Chicago. Dallas should be probably pretty good. But there is some very good teams remaining, so it definitely is up in the air if we're going to win a cup this year for sure. Obviously, we're only in round 2 as well, so we don't want to think too far ahead of ourselves. The next comment is from Ian.Nolov, who says, "I'll retype my comment from last episode because I want to hear your thoughts about that. Wild season, I legitimately had my jaw dropped when I saw Haikala, Sherov, and Wilm as line 1 in the middle of the season due to catastrophic injuries. I was like, what? Anyways, goalies were elite. Actually, a little bit skeptical about losing Sims for free, but hopefully it was the right decision. Maybe it'll be right to pick him back up in free agency. Might suggest one more extension on Raymond because he was damn good at the end and of breakthrough season. He'll surely want to get paid big time. I want to also switch Lehman and Della on that first line. Why is Haken on the fourth line? Is it his overall his overall is pretty good to be higher in the lines? Like instead of Vic, for example. Seems like you kind of underestimate this guy, or what's the reason behind it? Ozens might be the next big thing for us. The fact that his name is like mine makes me sympathize for him a little bit more. HD, I think he means XD or something like that. But anyways, let's get through it a little bit. What you're saying? So the stuff with Sims, losing him for free, I don't mind it because of the fact of our goaltending situation is pretty solid in a sense, because of the fact you can see we still have Budens as an RFA for one more year, so we could bring him back again, which is good. Michelli's a pending UFA, so obviously we'd lose him, but you can see Zadorov's up to a 78 at 20. So Zadorov could even be an NHL backup next season, so losing Sims for free really isn't that painful. He was also mentioned about giving Raymond potentially an extension, which I didn't actually take a look at. He's not that expensive, to be honest. I'm still going to probably wait till the offseason, but $3.7 million really isn't that bad because he doesn't really have a high ceiling at this point in time. He did just come off a 29-goal season, so it's a little bit of a risk paying him that much, but I might be willing to do that this offseason. And then he was saying about switching Lehman and Della on the top line. Well, there is a chance we might move Della Rivera to the top line to start this next round because Ozens has kind of struggled a little bit as the top liner. He's been much better as a third liner. And then finally, also what you were mentioning about Haken. The reason why Haken's a fourth liner is not because of his overall. It is because of the fact he's a two-way forward. I want somebody more defensive on that fourth line. And if I'm putting somebody like Vic on that fourth line, he's a sniper. He might give up more goals against on that fourth line. If we move Hartman to that fourth line, it's the same type of thing. So I kind of want to have more defensively minded guys on that fourth line just because obviously they might be out against the top guns of the other team and I want them to play good defensively and not give up any goals. So that's the main reason why Haken's on the fourth line over somebody like Habscheid or Hartman. The next comment is from Sanaro Otaku, who says, bit of a scare towards the end there, but the boys ultimately achieved the desired results. Not only was Ozzen's goal in Game 2 the first of his career, it ended up being the game winner. He had no points and was a -1 on the top line, so you may want to move him back to the second or third line for round 2. He also deserves a shot on the power play, though I don't know who you would take out since that group was so effective. And yeah, that's the only problem with that. With moving Ozens, I don't know exactly where I could move him. I could probably move Del Rivera to the top line again. And Ozens, let's see his fit. Yeah, he's probably better for the third line than the second line, so maybe we'll go back to something along these lines. Boucher, 77 down the middle. Trying to think of what we want to do here, maybe. Yeah, we could go something like that. Boucher on the wing instead, because Hartman's got really good face-off stats, so that's the only reason I want to put him down the middle. I know we don't necessarily need to make the adjustments, but we might as well. And then from a defensive standpoint, at some point I might want to split up Fragapane and Cracknell because of their minuses. But there's not much I could do unless I move Kolesnik to the top 6 pairing. Which I don't know if he would like that, to be honest, but we might try that at some point, depending if we give up goals. So there is some line adjustments made. I don't know if I could really get Ozens onto the power play, though. The only guy I would be willing to take out is Raymond. Yeah, I'm going to take out Raymond on the power play just to get Ozens a little bit more ice time. I really like Ozens' plays, so we'll get Ozens in there. And then that should be good. It's a 4 or 5 forward power play unit, which is interesting, but we'll run with it just to see how it works for our team. The next comment is from Logan May, who says, forget the haters, the sheriff could play until he retires, and even then he could be a scout or a mascot because he's the heart of the franchise, Ring of Honor for sure. And yeah, Sheriff has been kind of one of those type of players because he was like one of the best picks probably I've ever had that had like no potential whatsoever, and then he developed into being a good NHL player for a number of years. Now he's more of a depth option. But, like, his great seasons, like, where he had, like, 70, 60 points, like, that was very impressive to me, and that's why I'm kind of holding on to this guy. Also, he hasn't really necessarily had the best playoff stats in the NHL, but still, as a depth option, we know that he could at least produce at a solid level. And there is a good chance he will retire this offseason, which will obviously be kind of sad in a way. And then the last and final comment is from Joseph D. Miller, who says, Ozens was a great find. Hopefully he helps the team reach the finals and grows even more for next year. And yeah, I hope that he can grow more for next year, because obviously next year we don't know what our team's going to look like. We don't know who's going to retire, so it will be really good to see if Ozens continues on this trajectory, because obviously I would like to lock this guy up long term. He's got fantastic passing, offensive awareness as well, so there is a good chance that this guy will be like a top liner for us once we start to lose guys to retirement, which is awesome. So, yep, there's going to be our team going into this second round against the Habs. Let's see if we could take a 1-0 series lead on home ice, because obviously we have home ice advantage. And yeah, hopefully we could work from there and get ourselves somehow to a conference finals, because I wasn't really expecting us to get through Detroit for some reason, but we managed to do so. So you never really know what could happen with this playoff run. We could easily get knocked out this round. We could easily go to the Cup Finals this year. It's just all up in the air. And I think the main thing that we need to get going is we need, well, not necessarily get going. We need to be consistent in terms of our performance. Like, we can't just, like, kind of let up on the offense too much. We can't let up on our defensive play too much or our goaltending, because if Burkov all of a sudden has a very bad round, there's a higher chance we're obviously going to be eliminated. So let's get into game number 1 against the Habs and see if we could take a 1-0 series lead. That would be a great way to start the second round. First period. It is 2-1 Habs. Not the best start for Burkov. Tuzolino and Niederberger score, but Ricardo Richter scores, of course, after I was saying he had nothing going for him in the first round. He manages to score here in game 1, which is a good sign. Shots are 13-10 in favor of us, but we're down by a goal. Can we have a good response in the second period? Second period. It is 5-2 us. What a start to the second period. Jeez, okay. 4-goal second period. Reese De La Rovere on the power play. De La Rovere again. Hamalainen and Haken scores as well. Della's been amazing in this playoff run so far. He's been consistently putting up points every game. We're being outshot 24-22, so I guess they outshot us in that second period, but we were able to score 4 goals, which is amazing. Let's see if we could just lock this game down in the third period and take that 1-0 series lead. Lehman makes it 6-2, and Brodin answers for the Habs right back. But we're, oh no, Hedstrom scores 6-4. Come on, Burkov, just lock it down, man. You got this. We scored a lot of goals in our last game against Detroit. Now we're scoring a lot of goals in this game, which is good, but oh no, Hermé makes it 6-5. Please, Burkov, hold them off. Hold the door. Oh my goodness, no. No. You gotta be joking me. This game really does not like us at all. We had a 6-2 lead. And then with 17 minutes, Brodin, Hedstrom, Hermé, and Spence ties it with 2 minutes left. Are you serious? Yeah, Burkov's having a little bit of a tough time here so far against the Habs. That is not ideal. We had the win in the bag, but our team sat back. I don't know if I would really even put it on Burkov. I'd say our team just kind of sat back a bit and didn't really do much because they thought they would win. But we're going to overtime in game 1, which is not really what I was expecting when we went up 6-2. Who wants to be the hero for us? And please just stop the bleeding. I don't want to lose 7-6 after we had a 6-2 lead. Please, boys, you got this. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Lehman and OT, less than a minute in. Okay. That was not a textbook first game and not a great first game, to be honest. Because we had a good start to the game. Obviously, blowing that lead really destroyed my team's confidence. But we managed to at least get back and win this game. So, I'm happy we won. But I don't like how we gave up so much goals. 7 goals in back-to-back games for this team. And we have 2 wins, but we gave up 6 in this game. So we got to be a bit better defensively. Richter from Haken and Fragapane. De La Rovere from Lehman. De La Rovere from Lehman and Boys. Hamalainen from Boucher and Boys. Haken from Richter and Boys. Lehman from Wilm. And Lehman from Boys and Wilm. So Boys had a really good game, which is something that doesn't happen too often. He actually had 4 assists. Lehman had 4 points as well. And then you had a couple guys on 2 points, a couple guys on 1 point. Let me take a look at the plus-minus issues. Cracknell was a -2. Okay, so Cracknell and the other top 6 guy might need to get reworked a bit. because we are surrendering too much goals. Let me actually look at the 3 stars. Lehman, Boys, and Del Rivera. Okay. Yeah, I got to make some defensive adjustments. I don't put that game fully on Burkov because he was really good in the first round. But I do think that defensive pairing on the top 6 needs to be reworked a bit. Like maybe putting Eric Wilson into the lineup instead of one of those defenders would work better. Because those guys have had a really tough time. Like if we go to Fragapane and Cracknell, Cracknell's a -6 through 7 games. So yeah, Cracknell is going to be scratched, and we will throw in Eric Wilson, I guess. Who's more offensively inclined? It's going to be Fragapane who is. So Fragapane is going to be on the right side and Wilson on the left side. Booz is just coming back from injury, I guess. I guess he got a little bit knocked up in last game. And yeah, Burkov's stats dropped from a 921 or whatever it was to a 905, so that's not ideal. Hopefully he gets a good response in game 2, because normally he's not consistently bad. It's usually like 1 game only. Yeah, the rest of this will keep the same. So hopefully our defense plays a little bit better with Wilson in, and with the guy that's normally mine is out of the lineup. Obviously we can make more adjustments if we need to, but I want to play a bunch better defensive hockey than that, especially in the third period, because if that was the second period where we gave up a bunch of goals, it wouldn't be as bad, but the third period, giving up that many goals unanswered and then going to an overtime and potentially losing a game is not what we want to have happen. So let's get to game 2. We're still on home ice. Can we take a 2-0 series lead to Montreal? Because that would be great, considering last game was not a good defensive effort. You got this, boys. Let's see if we can respond. First period of game number 2. It is 1-0 us. Fragapane opens the scoring. Okay. So Fragapane gets a new defensive partner, and he actually scores because of that. He goes on the opposite wing. That's really nice to see. Shots are 11-11, but it's a 1-0 game for us, so good defensive start. Hopefully we continue to do that in the second period, because obviously last game, like I said, we gave up way too much goals. If we could play a much better defensive style here, I will be pretty happy. Second period. It is still 1-0. That's a much better game so far. Obviously, last game is where we had, in the third period, a bunch of goals against. So I'm hoping for a much better third period here in game number 2. Shots are 23-21 in favor of the Habs. It's a 1-0 game. Let's see if we can get some insurance here, because we're only up by a goal. Come on, boys. You got this. Come on, Wilm. Come on, Mauricio's. Liam Ahinen, 2-0 power play goal. Our power play has been really good. And Raymond scores as well, 3-0. Berkeley Catan breaks Burkov shutout. The Burke on the Burke. We're still up by a pair of goals at least. And that is going to be the final. We win 3-1, and we have taken a 2-0 series lead on the Canadiens. Liking the start to this playoff run so far. That's a much better defensive effort, and a very good effort from Burkov, making 36 of 37 saves. So that is exactly kind of the response we need after giving up so many goals in the last game. So Fragapane from Wilm, Ahinen from Habscheid and Del Rivera, and Raymond from Hamalainen and Cardwell. So that was a really good response defensively and goaltending-wise. Obviously the offense wasn't insane, but that's okay, because I'd much rather a good defensive game than a lot of goals, you know. And yeah, Burkov was fantastic in response. Wait, what? Let me take a look at that again. How did Burkov only play 40 minutes in a 60-minute game, and then Bodens didn't play anything? So you're saying we had an empty net for a full period? Oh man, this game has so many weird glitches at times. That does not make any sense. But Burkov, the first star of the game, Ahinen the second star, and Raymond the third star. And even in that action tracker, we saw that he gave up the goal in the third period. So I don't know why it says 40 minutes, but I will not question some random shit like that. So Booz is back to full health, which is good. Richter's still losing morale because of ice time, but there's not really much I could do for him. We have a 2-0 series lead. If we can win at least one of these 2 games in Montreal, we'll be in a very good situation. So obviously that is the #1 priority. Hopefully we can play good defensive hockey like game 2 and not like game 1. I think we got to keep the team the exact same. Let's see what happens. Game number 3. Can we take a 3-0 series lead? Can we get some wins in Montreal? Come on, boys. You got this. First period of game 3. 2-2. I'll take that. I mean, it's good offense, but not necessarily on the Burkov stats line. At least he faced 17 shots on goal in the first period and only gave up 2, so he is getting a little bit overwhelmed in shots. Hopefully our defense could play a little bit better in front of him. Niederberger scores on the power play, then Ozens ties it up. Herme gives them the lead again, and Del Rovere ties it back up. Shots are 17-10 in favor of Montreal, but it's a 2-2 game. Hopefully we can find a way to get the lead because we have not had the lead yet in this game 3. Second period. 3-3. Okay, Lehman gave us the lead, so we did have the lead for a bit. Tuzolino ties it right back up literally 10 seconds later. This is just one of those games. We're being outshot 34-20, so this game's definitely not on Burkov. The defense has given up way too many chances in this game, and I'm not liking that a lot. I do like that our offense is able to score still despite being outshot by 14 shots, though. So let's see what happens in this third period, see if we could grab that lead back because we had that lead briefly. Come on, boys. Let's go. Marty Cardwell. 4-3 Halifax. Let's go, Cardwell. This is a good start to this second round. Can we get some insurance? Because insurance would always be nice. Final 5 minutes of this third period. Tuzolino ties it up late. And we are going to be going to overtime for the second time this series already in the first 3 games. We're being outshot 44-30, but it's a 4-4 game. So Burkov is doing whatever he can to hold this team in the game. And we're kind of like lucky that we're able to score as much goals as them on way less shots. Who wants to be the hero in overtime and silence this Montreal crowd? Maybe it's Mauricio because he's been kind of quiet here in round 2, to be honest. But let's see if he's able to get it done, or anybody on our team for that matter. Let's see what happens in overtime. Power play for us in OT. We do not score on it. And I don't know who it was. It was Hamalainen on the power play. We have taken a 3-0 stranglehold on the Montreal Canadiens. We're 1 win away from the conference finals. And if you told me we were going to potentially be in this situation at this season, I was going to be like, I don't really know if we would be, but you honestly never know with how you simulate in the playoffs. Final shots were 45-37. We have won our second overtime game. Our power play has been fantastic, and we are 1 win away from the conference finals just like that. Ozens from Ahinen, Del Rovere from Cardwell and Wilm, Lehman from Del Rovere, Cardwell from Habscheid and Ozens, and Hamalainen from Wilm and Boucher. Let's go. 1 win away from the conference finals. Just got to find a way to close out the Habs. And yeah, Del Rovere got second star in that game. Let's go. We take a look at Burkov's stat line out of curiosity. A 911 save percentage. See, he faced a ton of shots in that game, so he kind of was the reason why we won that game, in my opinion. And the fact that we were able to score on so much less shots than they were. Okay, that's an AHL injury. I thought it was an NHL injury. Glenn Snyder's been injured. Let's just go replace player. At least that was not an NHL injury, because that would not have been good. We're 7-2 so far this playoff run. That's crazy. Liking that. So far, Florida's up 2-1 on Columbus. We have 3-0 for Chicago, and Calgary's up 2-1. Calgary's a really good team at this point in time, so that's a bit scary. Okay, I think we got to keep the team the same because we're on a good start to this conference finals, or not conference finals, second round. We're 1 win away from the conference finals. Let's see if we could do it. Obviously, if we get badly outplayed in a couple of these games, maybe I'll make some adjustments. But for right now, there's not really any point on doing so. So here we go, Game 4 in Montreal. Can we close out the Habs and go to the conference finals for the first time in a few seasons? Come on, boys. First period. It is 1-0 us. Mauricio Wilm with the only goal. That was a very early goal. Shots are 14-8 in favor of us. So their goaltender is off to a good start. He's only allowed 1 goal on 14 shots, but the Habs need to get their offense going if they want to get back into this game for sure. Obviously, our job is to shut them down and not let them get a lot of goals or chances on net. Then again, we also need Burkov to be really good too, if possible. Second period. It's 1-1. They tied up. Quinton Esch, I think his name was, ties it up at 1. Shots are 26-16, so their goaltender's having a good response game, which is not ideal. Hopefully, Burkov could find a way to be very good in this third period, and hopefully our offense could find a way to score a lot of goals, because we do have 10 more shots than them at this point in time. Who wants to be that guy for us in this third period? Let's see what happens. You got this, guys. Let's get that lead again. Let's get that lead. It's been a pretty close series for the most part, and Spence gives them the lead on the power play. Penalty kill again, and we kill that one off. Can we get a response to that, please, boys? Penalty kill again. Stop taking penalties in the third period, please. Come on. Rodin makes it 3-1, and Kitan makes it 4-1. And Burkov crumbles under the pressure. We do get another goal from Mauricio with 25 seconds left, but that's not going to help anything. And we lose 4-2 in a game that we could have closed them out, but we do not close them out, so that's not ideal. At this point in time, we could technically have we could be trailing technically 3-1 at this point in time because we won 2 games in overtime, but Wilm from Del Rovere and Wilm from Lehman and Del Rovere. So Wilm scored early and late. He gets actually first star of the game, which to me, honestly, is not what I would expect, but at least he showed up, but we need other guys to show up too, not just the captain. I'm going to make some adjustments, I think, for the next game. Okay. We got to find a way to close them out. Obviously, we're up 3-1 in the series still, so we don't really need to over-exaggerate too much in terms of line adjustments, but obviously I don't want to give up another game and have them maybe claw back into the series a bit. So, 7 points, 8 points. Trying to see if there's anybody that's been really underperforming. Or if we could get another guy more ice time. I don't think there's much I can do for that. Maybe I'll go something like that. Yeah, we'll go with something like this, I guess. Just to give it a little bit more chemistry throughout the lineup. Kolesnik has dropped down to an 81. And that's because of his age. God damn. That's not great. Is there much I could do to that? Not really. Goalie-wise, Burkov's at a 9-11. We'll keep the rest of this the same. I might throw Dodge in at some point just because he's more defensive. But yeah, I think that looks good on paper. So yeah, a couple of adjustments to our forward core. Let's see if we can get a good response in this game and close out the Canadiens, because obviously if they win this game, it's getting into the little bit of nerve-wracking territory. We're up 3-1, same with Florida. And then Chicago is already going to the conference finals, where they're likely going to meet the Calgary Flames, who are also up 3-1. Okay, let's get to this game and see if we could finally close out Montreal. We're on home ice now, so it would be a great way to close them out. Can we do it for our fans? Come on, boys, you got this. First period of an all-important game, number 5. And we're up 3-0. That's exactly what the doctor wanted to see. Boys, Raymond, and Boucher. That's a great start. Shots are 17-10, so we got a lot of chances in that opening period, and we have converted on a couple of them as well, which is great. So great opening period. Obviously, we need to have a good second period defensively to keep this lead intact. Second period. Oh my goodness. I feel like we might lose 4 straight games at this point. We were up 3-0, and we've blown a 3-0 lead at this point in time. 3 unanswered goals in the second. That's why I said we needed to have a good defensive period in the second. But for the second time in this second round against the Habs, we've blown a lead. Because game number 1, we barely won because of the fact we had that OT winner. We did blow a 6-2 lead in that game. So this is not good so far. Burkov needs to be a bit more consistent here at this point. Can we get a response in the third period from our team, or are we going to have another blown game? Come on, guys. You got this. You can do this. I believe in you. Mauricio Will, Mauricio Booze, whoever the heck. Hey, Alan Lehman. Okay, give it to Lehman. Lehman's been pretty solid here in the playoff run so far, too. Come on, boys. You got a few more minutes. Kolesnik scores, too, even though he's dropping off. Makes it 5-3. The old men show up. And we are going to be going to the conference finals, where we'll likely meet whoever it was. I can't even remember at this point now. What the hell? But anyways, we do eliminate the Habs. We get revenge for all those years that they were knocking us out. And we will be making it to round 3 for the first time in like 3 seasons, I think it is, or 2 seasons. I don't know exactly. But boys is first to the playoffs from Lehman and Wilm. Raymond from Haken. Boucher from Hamalainen and Habscheid. Lehman from Wilm and Del Rovere. And Kolesnik from Del Rovere and Wilm. Still a little bit skeptical, obviously, about our ability to hold on to leads, but at least we're able to respond in some of them. Lehman the first star, Wilm the second star, 3 assists, and Del Rovere the third star. So our big boys showed up at the right time. And we are going to be going to the conference finals, which is kind of awesome, for the second time in franchise history. And we will be taking on the Florida Panthers. who I think last time we went to the Cup Finals, we faced Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at our player stats through 2 rounds. Wow, Mauricio Wilms actually got 19 points, so he's been a lot better than I expected, but he's not scoring a lot of goals, which is kind of unlike him, but he's been very good point producing wise. Yeah, 19 points, but only 4 goals. Okay. Boucher on 9 points is solid. Hartman on 7. Ahinen only on 5. He needs to be a little bit better. And then we have Richter on 2 points. He's definitely not been super great, but he's been okay defensively. Lehman's been fantastic as an old guy with 17 points. Hamalainen on 9. Habscheid on 6. Ozens on 6. Haken on 4. And then Del Rovere on 18. And Raymond on 3. So from an offensive standpoint, we've been heavily reliant on our 3 old guys, or oldest guys on our forward core almost. Wilm, who's 37, Del Rovere, who's 30, and Lehman, who's 35. Everybody else has been a little bit on the quiet side by comparison. I mean, Hamalainen and Boucher have been almost point per game, same with Hartman. But we definitely need to have better depth scoring in our lineup if we want to continue to win games. Defensively, Cardwell's been actually pretty good, 6 points plus 7. Boys on 5 points plus 4. Kolesnik on 2 goals plus 5. But Fragapane has been bad defensively. Wilson has been okay, -1. Cracknell was tragic, -6 through 7 games. And Booze has been +4 so far. Goaltending wise so far, Burkov has been solid at times and also bad at times. 912 save percentage in a 2.97. Okay, so there is that. Let's take a look at the Florida Panthers, I guess, once we advance a few days. Just to see if Calgary advances as well, which is going to be the case. So we have Calgary and Chicago in the Western Conference Finals, and then we have us in Florida. So there is a chance that we could have a rematch with the Flames if we get to the Cup Finals, but that might not happen. You never know. Interesting. Let's take a look at what Florida did during the regular season compared to us, and also playoff-wise so far compared to us, and then we'll see what their roster's looking like. So they were the 4th best team in the Atlantic Division. They had 8 less points than us. Goals per game-wise, they were actually pretty close to us offensively. They did score 13 less goals. We were way better defensively by like almost 40 goals. Which is kind of crazy. Their power play was better than ours, so that maybe is why their offense was so good. And their penalty kill was worse than ours. Okay. So that was regular season-wise, so that doesn't really matter too much. What about defensively and all that stuff in the playoffs? Because I am curious on that front. They are 8-2 in this playoff run. We are 8-3, so they've been better than us in terms of winning games. They're scoring more goals than us, allowing around the same. Their power play has been worse than ours. Ours is 41.7%. Theirs 24.2%. And our penalty kill has bbeen better. So we've had better special teams. They've been pretty much better offensively and close to us defensively in less games. And they're 3-1 on home ice, 5-1 on the road, 8-2 in our last 10 games. Okay. So they've been a very good team so far in this playoff run. I'm pretty certain they were the team that we played last time when we went to the conference finals. Let me double check on that. Look at my YouTube videos here. I think so, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Was it Florida that we played in the conference finals when we went to the Cup Finals against the Flames? Did I scroll back too far here? I don't think I did. Oh, no, I did. Okay, no, it was the Rangers last time. Florida was round 1 of that year. Okay. Okay, so we never played Florida in the conference finals, but we have played them recently in the playoffs, so we do kind of know what they're like. Let's see what the roster is looking like. So, first line, Damon Peterson, Michael Porter, and Cesar Gamache. Oh yes, Cesar Gamache. This guy has been a very good player up to this point in time in his career. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very solid top line. Second line has Earl Lindsey, Lucas Hillman, and Ray Courtnall. Very solid second line. Oh my goodness. Yuri Sergeyev has signed with the Florida Panthers. Oh yeah, that's right. And he had 60 points this year with Florida. 12 points so far in the playoffs. Well, that is not ideal. So we are going to have to take on one former player here in the conference finals. Jackson Combs is also there. Nico Bromdell, Edward Sale, Seth Austin, and Vesa Salo. Their center depth is a little bit on the weaker side of things, but they have good winger depth. And seeing Sergeyev doing as good as he is on a third line is kind of scary. Defensively, Chris Whitmore is still there. This guy has been a very good defenseman for them already at this point in time. We got to watch out for him for sure. Joseph Commodore is still there. Angelo Lindsay. Emmanuel Dodge, who is probably related to the Dodge that we have. Patrick Winchester and Gary Parrott. So that defensive core a little bit on the weaker side of things, except for that top two for sure. And goaltending-wise, Gabriel Dag and Calvin Domi. Undrafted goaltender. David Shantz, Frederick Martinson. So I don't really like their depth options. I'd say their goaltending is pretty solid except for the backup for sure. Defense kind of needs a little bit of work, but it's been good so far in the playoffs. And then their forward core is pretty good on the wings, but not as much down the middle. So should be interesting to see what ends up happening in the conference finals if we're able to get ourselves back to that cup finals. Like I said, whoever wins will face either Calgary or Chicago. So if we end up having to face Calgary in a cup finals, we might have a rematch to try and get some revenge on them, or they might be able to beat us for a second time. Or if we get to a cup finals against Chicago, I don't think Connor Bedard is retired yet. He might have, but that's going to be a very tough matchup probably regardless too. So it should be interesting to see if we're able to actually get there. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Halifax Raiders Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to the conference finals against the Florida Panthers as we look to get back to a cup finals before Mauricio retires and eventually this team starts to fall off. Send anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.